Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie with Lady Suburbia, and welcome to my test run of my new podcast, which is called Lady Suburbia Turning Finds into Funds. I am a part time reseller on multiple platforms. I've been doing this for over 10 years, and as a small business owner since I would say about 2021. So I enjoy thrifting, I enjoy reselling on different platforms, and I just enjoy the whole thrill of finding something and there being a need out there on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, or other platforms. So today I'm going to go over eBay seller performance standards, particularly below standard. That's what I had, guys. Yes, last summer I suffered the lowest blow you can as a seller on eBay. Besides being suspended, I was below standard. So let's dive into that a little bit. Every platform has different seller performance standards, eBay being one of the top reselling platforms out there. Pretty high standards. It's not easy to be at the top, but with hard work and determination and just making sure that you don't have defects, you can get there. And I was there. I was at top rated. Now, I'm not going to go over every single level because there are perks to each level. And depending on what platform you sell on, it may be a little different. But most of my items that I sell are on eBay, with the exception of doing some live shows on Whatnot and Poshmark. And last summer, I hit rock bottom. I sure did. I did not fulfill a couple of orders during the time that I was moving out of my office space. And my daughter had surgery, and the list goes on, but it was my fault. I did not get that order out. I did not fulfill the order, and I had to cancel. Did not reach out to the buyer to come up with another solution. I just told him that it was out of stock, and if I found it, I would resend it. Just had a lot on my plate. Well, I had a few defects before then, but it was something I would have dropped off in the fall, and I knew that I would still be at a good standard at least without those two defects. But when they hit my account within a month, I knew that it was not going to be positive. So got a notification from eBay. And keep in mind, I was planning to go from quality over quantity. As I moved out of my office space, I no longer wanted 500, 600 listings on eBay and other platforms. I wanted to really get that down because of the space at the home office. I was limited to space and I was in between offices. I was looking at going to a warehouse/office space, and they were still under construction. And I figured I would move somewhat in the fall, but spend the summer working on that, sourcing really high quality items, selling for high profits, and not have to worry about smaller items that don't yield profits, larger profits. Well, below standard took me off. And when I tell you that, guys, it took me, I was very upset, but I knew that at the end of the day, this is what I needed to do to get back to where I was. I wanted to get to top rated back, and I knew I had to go to above standard for that. So eBay reached out and sent me the email, and I contacted them and say, hey, what can I do? I even tried to get some of the defects removed by giving my sob story of what was going on, and they didn't budge, of course. I mean, I don't expect them to budge, but it was worth it. And they said, if you can sell more items, if you can sell a few hundred more items within the next month or two, then it will throw off your percentage. So you'll still have those defects, but because you sold more, your percentage is going to go down, if that makes sense. So if I sold 100 items a year and I have two defects, that's 2%. But if I sold 200 or 300 or 400 items a year, those two defects, still not great, but my percentage would be a lot lower and I would not be below standard. And here I am managing another business, a marketing business, and also trying to take advantage of the summer and reducing my items and going for high profits, right, on higher quality items. And that my whole plan was thrown out the door. It was not fun. It was rough. It was so rough. So I said, okay, I have this full-time contract. Kids are out of school. And I still have to dig myself out of below standard and get hundreds of items sold within a short amount of time. And this is from someone that only sold like 200 items a year on eBay. I did a lot of live selling and sold on other platforms as well as just balancing out the different platforms to bring in funds. But when I went and looked at the numbers, I was calculating like 6 defects, and 4 was still not great, but 6 defects. And this is after I cleaned up my office, reduced my listings from 500 to like 300 or 200. So I removed tons of items that just weren't selling or they were very bulky. And I'm limited on the space that I have at the home office, where there's no way in the world I was going to be able to sell hundreds and hundreds of items because I just donated 200 or 300 items. Some were broken, some I sold elsewhere, but there was no way that was going to happen. And I said, I just donated all those things. What am I going to do? Well, luckily, I just dug real deep and realized I need to source high volume. So one of the things I did was I looked at other resellers online on YouTube and kind of see what they did to get out of below standard. Some were saying they were just buying things that, in bulk, replenishables, like, maybe lotions, or I don't know, it could just be random pencil sets, just something you can get in bulk. And I'm like, why can't I get it in bulk that's going to sell really good and take a hit really on it too? So not only was I below standard and my listings were suppressed and I could not use things, I had to change up my financial budget, my budget of what I was going to buy and how much money I was going to allocate to just below standard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I love thrift store mystery bags, and I didn't use them as a big option, a sourcing option in the beginning. I still would walk by them at a store and I would see it and say, this is not bad. I'm going to take advantage and see where this goes. But fortunately, I just didn't have it in me to go and grab a bag and dig and kind of look, because with those mystery bags, a lot of them are clear. They're either behind a display or on a shelf or hanging on a rack, and there's a price associated with it. Sometimes the tags are colored and there's discounts depending on the days. And for the most part, you really have to kind of dig and look. A few times I'd walk by those bags and I would see, Texas Instrument calculators. Those sell really well. I would also see a camera. I would see other small electronics. And that was sort of the categories that I wanted to sell in. I wanted to sell in small electronics, hard goods, video games, and a couple other ones. And so I would pull those out, no problem. But the issue was now I had to really focus on where can I buy a lot of items that won't cost a lot of money, that's going to sell pretty quickly. So I went to my phone. So on my phone, the eBay app, definitely use it when you're scanning. And if you're on another platform, it's all about looking at comps, looking at the item that you have, typing it in the search function and seeing if there are enough sales. So sell-through rate is huge, and that's one of the things I focused on in selling anyways. But when I really wanted to focus on quality over quantity, I was going to put more emphasis on buying items and sourcing items and selling items that had a higher sell-through rate. Now I was stuck. I no longer had that option, but I took a combination of things to dig myself out of below standard. I continued to source when I went to a store, a thrift store, garage sales, or any of those, or a marketplace, and I still watched and monitored sales. I would go on days where there were discounts. I would go on days where maybe the discount had just started. Maybe it was the color of the week is green, so I'd focus on green, green tags more. It doesn't mean I wouldn't buy from the other tags. I just would put some emphasis on markdowns on Sunday or Monday. So if I walk into a store on Monday, I'm going to look at what's 75% off, what's 50% off, and take that into consideration, but still look at regular price items because those are the newer ones. So it was a balance. I stopped sourcing a lot of clothing. I took a big hit on my Poshmark online, my auctions, just because I had my focus. I was in good standard with Poshmark, but my focus needed to be to dig myself out of below standard. So I stopped having live streams, live auctions. I still had them, but I was doing them less often instead of weekly. And I just had to really dig deep and see what was I going to do. And the best thing that I could come up with is just keep on sourcing and looking at the sell-through rate and adding those mystery bags. And so on my YouTube channel, which you're watching, I'm streaming through StreamYard through that, and through, I posted some on Instagram, my social media channels, is I just started taking more time into those mystery bags. I still walk through, check out the areas and in certain categories that I sell in, and I was still selling those things. I was still selling video games. I was still selling some bigger items that I could store. I was selling some clothing that had high sell-through rates. So I didn't stop with the other categories. I just made sure that every time I went into a thrift store that I was looking at these mystery bags. And I have a couple of videos, and they're just presentation style of what sold, and thrift store mystery bags, what sold. And one is October, November sales, and the other one is December. So in the next week or so, I will have a video that will go over January 2024 sales. Now, keep in mind, it won't just be the sales, all my sales. It will just be focused on mystery bags. And the reason why mystery bags were the highlight is because that's what helped me get out of below standard. So different levels of seller performance standards on eBay. There's top rated, which is the highest is top rated plus. And there are some pros to that and some perks that you get. You'll have to offer free shipping and I believe it's next day shipping. There's a couple other things that you have to offer. And then there's top rated, which is where I feel, I was at forever. And then the next one is above standard, and below that is below standard. And you continue to be at below standard with your listings being suppressed and getting warnings from eBay that at some point they can suspend your account and they can restrict not just your listings, but restrict your payouts. And I was like, oh, this was my summer to really take it to the next level. And I stopped using excuses and I focused on what I could do within my power in terms of my resources, what I could do. And I kid you not, that was a big element. It was very fun. It was exciting. And I learned a lot. At the recording of this video, of this podcast that I'm testing out with StreamYard, I went from below standard to above standard. It took me a couple of months, and I'm set to be at top rated within the next couple of weeks. Now that is exciting. I just want to say woohoo, because I'm not there yet, but I will get there. But that work involved was very tough. I utilized the sell-through rate and my eBay app more than ever. I was already using it as I was sourcing, but I had to dig deep and pull out items that I didn't think I was going to sell. I had to sell items for $5 and $8 and $10. Now, in the mystery bags, I'm probably paying, each item is probably, my cost of goods could be anywhere from pennies to maybe $1 or $2, but they were small, they were easy to store, and I had to choose items that had higher sell-through rates. And if that sell-through rate was not as high, then I had to price lower. And because my cost of goods were so low, so at LOW, so low, it made it worth it. My average sale price, or my ASP, ASP, where it was in the $50 range prior to being below standard because of some of the items and the units, the electronics I was selling. And then it started going down. And I believe right now I'm in the $40 range. So I did take a hit from, 50 something dollars per item, my average sell-through rate, to dropping in the 40s, but it was worth it because I'm sourcing these items for $1, 50 cents, $2. And depending on where you're at and depending on what company you go to or what thrift store you go to, there are tons of things and sales and punch cards and other things and frequent buyer or frequent shopper cards that you can add and additional discounts. But I wouldn't knock mystery thrift store mystery bags because it does open up some opportunity. I know being below standard, that's the first time and the last time I plan to be below standard. It is not fun. I did get support from eBay. They gave me some tips, but there was really no budge in terms of we're going to just remove everything and we're just going to hand it to you. Fortunately for my tracking and for returns, my tracking was like at 100% and my returns were very, very low, very low. The percentage was very low. So when I spoke to eBay, they had told me, Stephanie, everything else is fine. And that's probably why I didn't get suspended, because everything else was good. I had pretty much 100% positive feedback rate. I'm probably at 99.3 right now. So there's not perfect rating, but up there. And they said, we see your hard work and we see it. And so if you just continue to sell and list and sell, so I did, and I dug through. July was a little tough, but August, September, and all those things of, wow, I'm below standard and I'm trying to get above standard because we are hitting Q4. And at Q4, which is October, November, December, it's a huge month for the reselling community. People are buying for the holidays and people are buying, gifts for themselves and to give away. And so it's a larger spending time during that year. And my listings are being suppressed. So I had to find items that were 100% sell-through rate, 80% sell-through rate. That was almost a guarantee, because those items prior to, if there was more competition and the sell-through rate was lower, I was not even going to be seen because my listings were suppressed. I went on just eBay general without even putting in my name, logging in, and I couldn't find some of my listings. I had to dig really deep to find it. So those sales in September and October, as much as I love every single sale, those sales really took me over, and I had to dig deep and find out how I was going to make it work. Now, I encourage you, if you are a beginning reseller or beginner reseller, or maybe you're a seasoned or a veteran and you're looking at eBay as a website or a platform to use, keep in mind, no platform is perfect, and each platform has their own performance standards. If you are not fulfilling orders or shipping orders late, or not responding in a timely manner if an issue comes out with a buyer, is that you could get dinged for that, and you can get more dinged on the defects of not completing orders, not shipping orders, and all that stuff. But I think it's how you handle that adversity and how you can take something that would normally knock you down and discourage you from selling to dig really deep. And of course, I'm happy, thankful that I was able to come out of below standard. It's not fun. It's not a good feeling. And I almost felt like not throwing in the towel. I just felt like I know I could sell more, and I know that it was coming, but I had to get through this hump. Now, keep in mind, my contract for my other business, it had ended and it was slow. I was not going to pick back up again until the spring, or late winter, early spring. And so I was depending on Q4 for all my sales. I was depending on, was like, that's the income I'm going to bring in for the holidays. And when your listings are suppressed and you have items you want to list and you're low on space, you have to be creative. And so I just used that strategy of, I'm going to go into a store, I'm going to go pick out, I'm going to be very specific. I'm not just going to grab stuff. But then I had to grab stuff. I'm like, okay, this is $1 and it's on eBay. The sell-through rate is through the chart, but it's only, I'm only going to get like $12. I'm like, that's okay. Let me get it. And I'll get it, process it, get it listed. And of course, it'll sell within a few days. Okay, that's one. Now I need to do 200 more. So at one point when I finally got, booted up and I went from below standard to above standard, I looked at my numbers for the year in terms of how many items I sold. And it was interesting because I'd only sold like 100, 150 items, I believe in 2022. When I went up a level in November, I was so happy because we were ending the quarter. I just had month of November, and December by far was my biggest sales month of the year. And I was not below standard, which was great. I looked at the numbers And in just a matter of a couple of months, I had gone from selling 150 items, almost 200 items a year, to selling in a matter of 3 months over 250 items. Now, still part time reseller, and I didn't put full time effort into it. I put probably 75% effort. Most days I was still grinding, but I have other things and other activities and other projects that I am working on. And I was thankful, very thankful. This situation could have gone sour, it could have gone really bad. And it definitely could have discouraged me from moving forward as a seller on eBay. And during that time, I went to eBay Open in Atlanta. I met up with a Poshmark friend I met through Poshmark. I attended, eBay, their seller check-ins, and I was still being consistent because I was not going to let my standard be in the way of succeeding and not just making money, but really taking my business to a whole nother level. So I did have to sacrifice live auction selling on Poshmark, and I rarely list anything on Mercari. And I do dabble in Amazon FBM as well, but I had to put those things on the side and focus on eBay, and that was my main focus. And other areas took a hit, but not in terms of ratings. I still made sales, and whatever sales that I made, I still shipped them out in a timely manner. But it was really rough. So I just wanted to share that experience with you and encourage you guys to keep going. If you're below standard, or maybe you're above standard and you're trying to raise up to top rated on eBay, or even top plus, right? Top rated plus the top of the top, is that to keep on grinding out, keep on, be consistent, look at the sell-through rate, look at thrift store mystery bags as another option if you just need a little bit more to take you over, and look at other sourcing options besides, maybe thrift stores, garage sales, estate sales, marketplace, and going to closeouts of department stores and other stores to see if you maybe do some retail arbitrage. Whatever you can do within your budget will really make an impact in your business. And I had to do it by also paying myself. I pay myself every 2 weeks, and I didn't want to compromise what I was paying myself as well. So even though listings were suppressed and I wanted to get out of below standard to above standard, I also had to pay myself and then use what was left over after my expenses and other things, have a budget for sourcing hundreds of items, which I wasn't trying to source hundreds, and it all worked out. So like I said earlier, at the recording of this video, I have a couple more weeks before I am top rated, but I have gone up. I've been above standard for a few months, and I'm so excited. I can use promoted listings. I use all types of promotions on eBay, and I still source thrift store mystery bags. I've included it in my reselling business in terms of sourcing. I won't stop 100%. I'm going to still include it, but just keeping out for items that maybe have a higher, not a higher sell-through rate, because I always do that, but maybe higher value that's going to sell for, $25, $30, after fees. So just think of that. Continue to keep pushing. I appreciate your time. I'm on multiple social media channels. This is the first one. It's raw. I hope you guys like it. And I am the reseller with the fedora hat and hoop earrings, a gift from my sister that I got a couple years ago, about a year and a half ago, and did before a live show. Live show sold out. And so now it's my good luck charm. And so every video, you probably see me with a hat on my head and some type of earrings. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And stay tuned for other videos. I appreciate every single one of you. Wish you continued success in your reselling business, and drop a line in the comment. Let me know any struggles that you've been having with reselling or being below standard or mystery bags, or just say, hey, guys, take care. Have a good one. I'll catch you on the next video, guys.